This is New York's #1 news, Channel 7 Eyewitness News. With Ken Rosado and Shirley Nalicott, Heather O'Rourke with traffic, and Sam Champion with the exclusive AccuWeather forecast. Now, Eyewitness News this morning.
An unprecedented day in American history, playing out today in Manhattan. Donald Trump set to become the first former president to appear in court on criminal charges.
He's gearing up for a battle.
All stemming from hush money payments in the final weeks of the 2016 election. Trump's legal team fighting back.
That is something that is age-old, and that is garbage.
What we know about Trump's surrender, the charges to be unsealed today, and will cameras be allowed in court?
Plus, bracing for unrest.
They're going to stifle him. They're going to try to shut him up tomorrow.
Security tight from Trump Tower to the courthouse ahead of potential protests. Mayor Eric Adams laying down the law.
New York City is our home, not a playground for your misplaced anger.
From today's court proceedings to the fallout, Eyewitness News has you covered on this historic day.
A very good morning on this Tuesday, April 4th. I'm Ken Rosado.
And I'm Shirley Nalicott. Complete coverage of Trump's arraignment in just a bit.
Ken and Shirlene, back to you.
Heather, thanks so much. Let's get to today's arraignment of former President Trump. A day full of drama and history playing out right here in Manhattan.
In a matter of hours, Trump will be escorted from Trump Tower to criminal court in Lower Manhattan in a motorcade of police and Secret Service. He will stand before the judge to hear what charges he faces. When the court proceedings are over, he will fly directly back to Florida, where he's scheduled to deliver a speech tonight.
And as you can imagine, police are on high alert. They're not messing around. Dueling rallies already planned near the courthouse. Georgia Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene expected on the pro-Trump side. The mayor and police commissioner with a strong warning for any demonstrators looking to cause trouble.
Our reporters have all angles covered, beginning with Eyewitness News reporter Derek Waller, live outside Manhattan Criminal Court in Lower Manhattan. Derek?
Ken, Shirlene, good morning. I've covered some big stories in my career, but never have I seen this many cameras focused on one event. All the world's attention focused on this building behind me, Manhattan Criminal Court, and that's where Donald Trump is going to turn himself in later today. He's likely will get fingerprinted, could get a mug shot as well, and then he's off to that 2:15 arraignment up on the 15th floor. The entire process could last no more than 10 minutes, and it will not be televised. Overnight, Judge Juan Merchan ruled 5 still cameras can take photos right before the arraignment, but video cameras and other electronic devices are banned. New York state law doesn't allow cameras during criminal trials, but judges do have some discretion. Trump's lawyers wanted to keep cameras out, saying it would add to a circus-like atmosphere.
I actually argue that having cameras in the courtroom does cut down on the circus. It means far fewer reporters have to be there because you can watch it on the feed and report it the same way.
Sources tell ABC Trump is facing around 24 counts, including felonies. Prosecutors have been investigating how Trump accounted for a hush money payment to porn star Stormy Daniels weeks before the 2016 election. The grand jury also heard evidence concerning a second payment to model Karen McDougal.
Hush money payments themselves, not a crime. Falsifying business records to conceal hush money payments, typically a misdemeanor, but can be a felony if it's done in furtherance of or to conceal another crime.
We won't know the charges until the indictment is unsealed at that 2:15 arraignment. But Trump is expected to plead not guilty no matter what.
They will enter a plea of not guilty, reserve all rights to challenge it on all levels, but hear for the first time that the details of that indictment, because they'll be handed that piece of paper when it's unsealed.
And this is really just the beginning, because after that arraignment today, Trump's attorneys are expected to file a series of motions, the first of which could be a motion to dismiss. Reporting live here in Lower Manhattan, I'm Derek Waller, Channel 7 Eyewitness News.
Derek, thank you. Before the court proceedings get underway, though, a motorcade will have to escort former President Trump from Trump Tower to Lower Manhattan. Eyewitness News reporter Janice Yu is there live. She's at Trump Tower with more on the security measures police are taking today. Janice, good morning.
Good morning, Charlene. As you mentioned, the former president will be leaving Trump Tower and heading to Lower Manhattan. We anticipate this happening around 1 o'clock this afternoon. And even right now, there are more than a dozen officers just kind of around Trump Tower. And we can expect security to tighten even more as we get closer to that 1 p.m. departure time. Now, yesterday during a news conference, the mayor as well as NYPD Police Commissioner Keechant Sewell urged protesters to be on their best behavior and reminded everyone that they will not tolerate any violence or criminal behavior. Adams says, though, he's not concerned because the NYPD is well prepared to respond as needed. And the department is also working with the Secret Service to keep everyone safe. Now, expect to see more law enforcement out today, especially here near Trump Tower as well as Lower Manhattan. And if you're on the roads today, there will be street closures and delays, especially as the former president heads to Lower Manhattan this afternoon and then to the airport after his court appearance.
If you usually drive or stay and take public transportation, it is easy to get around on public transportation because we expect some disruptions and additional traffic. There's a great deal of additional traffic that may come in the city, and there will be street closures near the courts and throughout the city.
Well, so right now, street closures look just like yesterday. 56 between 6th and Madison is closed for now. But again, there will be rolling street closures. So make sure you keep that in mind. Or as Heather mentioned, it might just be a good day to avoid the car altogether and utilize public transportation. Live in Midtown, Janice Yu, Channel 7 Eyewitness News.
Thank you, Janice. 6:08 now, and presiding over today's indictment and the entire trial will be Judge Juan Merchan, who no doubt will be thrust into the spotlight in the coming days and weeks. Judge Merchan is no stranger to Donald Trump. He presided over the criminal tax fraud trial during which the Trump organization was found guilty of a tax avoidance scheme. He has decades of experience with New York state law, working as an assistant attorney general on Long Island in the early 2000s, as a judge in the Bronx Family Court, and since 2009 presiding over felony criminal trials as an acting judge on the state Supreme Court.
Former President Trump added more firepower to his legal team. Former U.S. prosecutor Todd Blanche has wide-ranging experience in white-collar cases. He has previously represented Paul Manafort and Rudy Giuliani.
Our team coverage of former President Trump's arraignment continues in just a few minutes. Eyewitness News reporter Morgan Norwood joins us live from Lower Manhattan with more on the political fallout from Trump's indictment.
Now to some other news this morning. Investigators are still trying to determine what caused a deadly construction accident at JFK. This was breaking news during the noon hour. 2 workers died when a trench they were in collapsed. Officials still haven't identified those workers. All construction at the site has been suspended pending a safety review. The accident did not impact the airport's flight operations.
New information this morning on the budget battle in Albany. Governor Hochul and state lawmakers have agreed to extend the deadline to April 10th. The budget was due this past Saturday. The extension allows for state workers to get paid and ensures that state operations continue to function as normal. The governor and state Democrats are at odds over several topics, including bail reform and funding for affordable housing.
6:09, the cleanup continues today in New Jersey after this weekend's devastating tornadoes. Video shows the trail of destruction through several communities, including Howell and Jackson Township. Some schools in the area were closed yesterday because they don't have electricity. Residents say things could have been a whole lot worse. Six Flags Great Adventure in Jackson will be closed until at least tomorrow. 6:10 right now. You're never more than 7 minutes away from weather and traffic. Sam Champion here now with the forecast. Sam?
Yeah, and the National Weather Service was studying 6 tornadoes moving through the area.
You definitely want to avoid driving through Manhattan because of what's going to be going on with Trump today. Street cleaning rules are in effect. Ken and Charlene, over to you.
Heather, thanks so much. 6:11 right now. We return to our coverage of former President Trump's arraignment with a look at the political fallout as he once again launches a bid for the White House.
And a live action version in the works for a modern Disney classic.
We return to our coverage of today's arraignment of former President Trump. All of this happening as he runs once again for the White House.
Eyewitness News reporter Morgan Norwood is live outside Manhattan Criminal Court in Lower Manhattan with the political impact. Morgan, how do we expect Trump to use this indictment to rally his base?
Yeah, Ken, Charlene, I'd say that he probably has already been doing so. I mean, look, it started last week when he started calling on his supporters to protest this indictment. All week long, we've heard from his attorneys, his legal team, calling this indictment a witch hunt. And, you know, I think one other thing that's pretty telling about perhaps his intentions in terms of using this for his campaign is right after he leaves this courthouse, he's going to get right back on a plane and head to Mar-a-Lago, where he plans to make a speech, where we expect him to lean pretty heavily into some of the rhetoric that we've already heard from him this week involving the indictment. Guys.
Yeah, we'll be hearing from him sometime in the 8 o'clock hour with that from Mar-a-Lago. Morgan, another question for you. In this indictment, it isn't the only legal trouble that the former president is facing, though, right?
Yeah, that's right. The legal troubles just continue to mount for the former president. He is not out of the woods by any means. We've got several investigations, the special counsel investigation into the classified documents that were seized down in Mar-a-Lago. We've got the Georgia elections probe, January 6th. And, you know, those, many would argue, are probably your more heavier cases, the ones that tend to carry a lot more weight in comparison to this case. So definitely not out of the woods just yet. But then I also want to point out that there's another potential case right here in New York. The Manhattan DA's office reportedly investigating a case kind of similar to the one that we're dealing with now. Another alleged hush money payment, this one to Karen McDougal, a former Playboy model. So Trump has denied all wrongdoing in all of these investigations. So we'll certainly see how all of this plays out in the months and the weeks to come. Ken, Charlene.
Thank you so much. The former president calling this a witch hunt for sure.
And stay with Eyewitness News and ABC News as we continue to follow the indictment of former President Trump. ABC News will air a special report when Trump arrives at the courthouse, and you can watch that right here on Channel 7 and wherever you stream ABC 7 New York.
Hey, this morning. Good news for fans. For the movie Moana, a live action version of the film is currently in the works.
Moana, Gramatala, the music, the dance, Tafiti, Pua the pig, the village, the beautiful, powerful ocean, and one more, what's that guy's? Oh, yours truly, Hey Hey the chicken. Kidding, Hey Hey's gonna be in it, but of course Maui will be in it too.
Hey Hey is my favorite. Love Hey Hey. Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, love him too, making the announcement in a video posted on his Twitter page with his adorable daughters in tow. He voiced the character Maui in the 2016 film. Disney is the parent company of WABC TV.
Awesome. 6:17 now. Sam Champion with the AccuWeather forecast.
I just love that guy. I mean, from his Instagram post where his daughters have covered his head with lipstick, to him bringing them to the announcement.
I can't get enough of it.
I can't get enough of it. I agree. Totally agree. Hey, good morning, everybody. So, are you ready for the warm day? And then we'll drop down with temperatures tomorrow and keep it cool, cloudy, and damp. Yes, I think is probably the answer after I kind of shared what tomorrow is. So this is what we get. We've got a little sunlight ready to make over the horizon right now. So we're 48 degrees outside. We've dropped a few degrees. A couple hours ago, we were closer to the 50-degree mark. Winds are calm this hour. Relative humidity is high. So there's a damp feel in the air. And there's a mixture of 30s and 40s to the north of us, while we're about 48 in the park, as we mentioned, about 51 in Newark, 45 to 48 out east. Cooler air is up to our north. And the reason I mention this now is there's a front trapped right here. It's going to stay there during the day today. That allows this milder air to make a rush for us. And we do go through the 60s by lunchtime to near the 70-degree mark and above it in some cases around the area. So the drier skies to the south right here. So you can see that line coming right around Beacon North where the clouds have been this morning, and the showers have kind of exited that area now. So that's good news. By later on today, I think the models are overdone early morning for the clouds, but later on this afternoon, I think this is pretty accurate. We'll see some clouds squeezing in from that southern wind flow direction and also dropping down from the north as that front gets closer and closer to us. So we'll cloud up by the evening hours, but during the day today, there's enough sunshine and mild air that will kick these numbers straight up. By the time we get into Wednesday, look at this, already early in the morning, 7:30, the models are saying we're cloudy and there's some scattered drizzle and showers on, even probably a little fog already around. It's going to be all dependent on that front, but it is going to drop into the area. So tomorrow we stay cloudy, damp, drizzly for a good part of the day today. Then we have got, by the time we get into Thursday, a little dry air for the middle part of the day could light up some stronger temperatures, and then as this front moves through, bring in some scattered storms. By Friday, things are getting a little bit more stable and a little bit more pleasant for the weekend. As we go through the day today, nice day, sunshine between the clouds, numbers going straight up to what we like to hear, that 70-degree mark, and very close to it. Pollen count is high today, so 68 degrees. Some of us are in the low 70s, 52 with some late fog overnight. Now, we don't break the 50s tomorrow, so it's chilly, damp, drizzly, and foggy during the day tomorrow, and then we'll bounce right right back up. The only concern about Thursday, 73 degrees, is do we get those scattered thunderstorms? Hi, Heather.
Hello, Sam. So we have a very busy morning, very busy day and evening around Manhattan. So Newscapter 7 is up above Trump Tower. So you can see there is some activity out there. Well, this is the press right over here. And then it looks like we had a little bit of a group of protesters on the other side of the street. But you can see that it is pretty quiet there. Police are on the scene. We do have that closure of 56th Street right outside of Trump Tower. So you want to avoid this area. If you can do that, please utilize the car. And also, you can scan this QR code right down here. That's Copter Cam. And you can check out pictures from Newscapter 7 as Newscapter 7 travels around. But again, leave the car at home. Utilize mass transit. Street cleaning rules are in effect. Ken, Charlene, over to you.
Heather, thank you. Ahead at 6:30, a new college basketball champion has been crowned after a thrilling end to the NCAA tournament.
Plus, the major announcement from Ford as the automaker moves away from AM radios. 6:24 in the money this morning. The Dow gained 327 points. That was yesterday. For today, futures are pointing to a lower open.
Hong Kong's Hang Seng Index closed lower. Japan's Nikkei average closed higher. Ford Motor Company plans to stop putting AM radios in new vehicles beginning in 2024. It's a move that follows in the footsteps of many electric car makers who say modern vehicle systems interfere with the AM signal. One New Jersey lawmaker, though, is pushing back. Congressman Josh Gottheimer recently announced legislation that would encourage car manufacturers to keep the technology, calling it the backbone behind the country's national public warning system.
The FDA has granted marketing authorization for the Snoo Smart Sleeper, saying that it helps keep babies on their backs. Very important while they sleep. Studies show that putting babies to sleep on their backs reduces the chance of SIDS, sudden infant death syndrome. But the FDA is stopping short of saying the device does actually prevent it. It's just at this point thought to do so. But that's so important. As a mom of 3, you know that very well.
I've tried the Snoo. It didn't work for me.
Oh, there you go.
It's a great invention. 6:25, another mild and calm day today, but there is rain in the forecast later this week. Sam Champion returns with the exclusive AccuWeather forecast.
Take a live look now from Newscapter 7 above Trump Tower. Our team coverage continues ahead of former President Trump's arraignment today. The security measures in place for the historic court appearance.
Now, New York's #1 news. Channel 7 Eyewitness News this morning.
An historic day for America playing out right here in New York City. Former President Trump waking up in Manhattan ahead of his unprecedented arraignment today. What we expect to see when the charges are unsealed, and the overnight ruling from the judge when it comes to cameras in the courtroom.
Plus, security ramped up in Manhattan. Street closures today as the former president makes his way to and from court. Dueling rallies already planned near the courthouse. The warning from Mayor Adams to keep the peace.
Meantime, Trump, once a New York tabloid darling, is gracing the covers of the local newspapers for all the wrong reasons. The front page of the Daily News reads, "Historic Surrender." The New York Post going with "Day of the Don."
Our team coverage is just ahead. First, though, we go to Sam Champion with a look at the AccuWeather forecast. Hey, Sam.
So today, good morning, everyone. So
you can see the press right over here. Once again, street cleaning rules are in effect. Ken, over to you.
Heather and Sam, thank you. At 6:31, Donald Trump is set to become the first former president to appear in court on criminal charges. The exact charges are still unclear, but we do know they will be unsealed during today's proceedings. It's believed there could be some 24 counts, including felonies stemming from hush money payments in the final weeks of the 2016 election. We're also waiting to find out whether the judge will issue a gag order limiting what Trump can say about the case. What we do know heading into today's arraignment is that we are not going to be able to see it play out for ourselves in terms of video after a ruling on courtroom cameras. Eyewitness News reporter Derek Waller begins our team coverage live outside Manhattan Criminal Court. Derek?
And Ken, we stepped away from where we had been all morning because I just wanted to set the scene here. I've never seen so many cameras covering one event. In fact, take a look at Center Street, and the international media is really lined up here for this unprecedented situation that we have later today, a former president being arraigned on criminal charges. Now, media outlets also requested cameras inside court, and that was denied. Trump's legal team arguing against them, saying it will create a circus-like atmosphere at the arraignment, raising unique security concerns, also adding it is inconsistent with Trump's presumption of innocence. Now, Judge Juan Merchan ruling 5 still cameras can take photos right before the start of the hearing, but no video cameras or electronic devices are allowed. That was pretty much expected because New York state law does not typically allow cameras during trials. Trump under investigation for how he accounted for hush money payments to women just before the 2016 election, but we still don't know the specific charges. He's going to turn himself in to the Manhattan DA's office just before that 2:15 hearing. Typically, that's when you get fingerprinted and get a mugshot. Trump's lawyers say they don't want that to happen.
Mugshots are for people so that you recognize who they are. He is the most recognized face in the world, let alone the country right now. So there's no need for that. There's no need for the theatrics.
And back here outside criminal court, I'll direct your attention to what's happening across the street. Lots of officers out here and barricades. That is Hogan Place down there, and that's actually where the district attorney usually makes his way into the building later today. That's also where we can expect Donald Trump to be showing up later on this afternoon. So all the security already in place. We are expecting protests out here as well, and localized street closures. In fact, you can see one of them already closed right to my left. So that's what's going on down here. A lot going on, and make sure you avoid this area if you can this afternoon. Reporting live here in Lower Manhattan, I'm Derek Waller, Channel 7 Eyewitness News.
Great visual perspective there. Thank you for that, Derek. Now to the issue of security here in Manhattan. The NYPD has sent a stand-ready order to its roughly 35,000 officers. As for traffic, rolling street closures are planned and security checkpoints are possible. Meantime, Mayor Eric Adams warning any potential protesters to keep the peace. Eyewitness News reporter Janice Yu live outside Trump Tower with that part of our coverage. Janice, good morning.
That's all you. Good morning, Shirlene. Yeah, it's kind of the calm before the storm, if you can even call it a storm, because, you know, even at this hour, there are more than a dozen NYPD officers outside of Trump Tower just to keep an eye on things, and we expect security to get even tighter as we get to that 1 p.m. departure time. The former president will be leaving Trump Tower. It's expected he'll be leaving at 1 p.m. and being escorted by Secret Service to Lower Manhattan. Now, yesterday, during a news conference, Mayor Eric Adams did not mince any words when he said any kind of violence or criminal behavior will not be tolerated in the city. But he says he knows the NYPD is well prepared to shift and pivot should the need arise. Now, authorities stress that there are no credible threats at this time, but plans are in place between the NYPD and the Secret Service as a precaution. That being said, you're going to see more law enforcement out today, especially here at Trump Tower and outside of the courtroom in courthouse in Lower Manhattan. Now, the police commissioner says security checkpoints could be a possibility as well. And when it comes to protests, city leaders are asking everyone to stay peaceful. Mayor Eric Adams specifically mentioned Republican Georgia Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene, who is planning on holding a protest in Lower Manhattan later today, reminding her and others to be on their best behavior.
While there may be some rabble-rousers thinking about coming to our city tomorrow, our message is clear and simple. Control yourselves. New York City is our home, not a playground for your misplaced anger.
Violence and destruction are not part of legitimate, lawful expression, and it will never be tolerated in our city.
And like I said, right now it's really the calm before the storm here outside of Trump Tower. The road closure that we saw yesterday is still in place, so that's 56 between 6th and Madison. And I can tell you later on in the day, between the pedestrian traffic and road closures, it gets really crazy around here, and there will be even more road closures as the former president heads to Lower Manhattan. So keep that in mind if you plan on driving today. Stay out of this area, or it might just be a good day to leave the car at home and use public transportation. Live in Midtown, Janice Yu, Channel 7 Eyewitness News.
Janice, thank you. President Biden was in Minnesota yesterday, where he addressed the former president's indictment for the very first time.
All right, you're going.
No, I have faith in the New York Police Department.
You have faith in the legal system at this point?
Yes.
Be sure to stay with Eyewitness News and ABC News. We're going to be breaking in during several key times during the day as former President Trump makes his way to court and we learn the charges.
6:37 happening today. Self-exiled Chinese billionaire Go Wen-gui will be back in court for a bail hearing. He's the man authorities are investigating in connection with a billion-dollar fraud conspiracy and a mysterious Manhattan penthouse fire last month. Federal prosecutors say the business tycoon lied to hundreds of thousands of online followers in a complex money laundering conspiracy. He says he's not guilty. Prosecutors are petitioning the judge to reject bail, saying Gui is already trying to obstruct justice from jail and could do more harm if he is freed.
Well, now to New Jersey, where a fire in Edison has forced dozens of people out of their homes. The 2-alarm fire ripped through an apartment complex on Waterford Drive just after 3 p.m. yesterday. The Red Cross is on the scene there, helping 24 families, a total of 74 people. The mayor of Edison putting out these pictures and saying there are no injuries. It is not clear how the fire started. Some of the last measures of New Jersey's COVID-19 response are now over. Workers in healthcare and congregate care settings who are not vaccinated no longer have to be regularly tested for the virus. This includes workers in nursing homes, correctional facilities, group homes, and rehab centers. Governor Phil Murphy signed an executive order lifting the restrictions yesterday.
6:39, new overnight. A new champion was crowned following a wild NCAA men's basketball tournament. The UConn Huskies beat San Diego State University 76-59 to claim the national championship. This is UConn's 5th championship and Coach Dan Hurley's first career national title. It is 6:39, and you are never more than 7 minutes away from weather and traffic. A mild day ahead. Here's Sam Champion.
Well, we started with
right outside the Manhattan Criminal Courthouse and all of the streets around it. Street cleaning rules are in effect. Ken, Charlene, over to you.
Folks are going to be grateful they listened to you, Heather. Thank you. 6:41 next. Dozens of new provisional licenses have been approved for recreational marijuana dispensaries in New York.
Plus, the milestone birthday for a woman from Kentucky. The 3 things she says has led to a long and happy life. 6:44, we have breaking news out of the Netherlands, where at least 1 person is dead, 30 more hurt when a passenger train carrying about 50 people derailed early this morning. Dutch emergency services now saying the train hit construction equipment on the tracks about 10 miles northeast of The Hague. The first train car plowed into a field after the accident, second on its side, and a fire broke out in the rear of the train. It was later put out.
Students in Nashville staged a walkout from their classrooms exactly 1 week after 3 children and 3 adults were killed in a shooting at a Christian elementary school. They walked to the state capitol yesterday where they were joined by adults, all calling for action on gun violence. The protest, organized by March for Our Lives, a nonprofit formed after the 2018 Parkland, Florida school shooting to call for stricter gun laws.
99 new provisional licenses have been approved for recreational marijuana dispensaries in New York State. The state trying to fast-track the rollout of more legal stores after an injunction barring licenses in some regions, such as Brooklyn, was lifted. Applicants still must complete a supplemental application. Authorities say unlicensed stores have been undermining the legal stores. Only 7 shops have opened thus far, and so far 165 retail dispensary licenses have provisionally been approved. A special celebration for a woman in Louisville, Kentucky. Effie Nipper turned one. I love that name, Effie Nipper.
Effie Nipper.
She turned 103 years old over the weekend. God bless her, the wonderful woman. Dozens of her family members attended her birthday party. She shared her secrets for a long life.
Well, eating the right food and going to church and loving everybody. I don't feel no older. Of course, I got more pains. Yeah. When you get old, you get more pains. Okay.
All right, I know people 25 years her junior who don't speak that well and that sharply. Good for Effie. Her great-grandchildren were also at her birthday party. Good for her, bless her heart. It is 6:46. Good.
Street cleaning rules are in effect. Charlene and Ken, over to you.
All right, Heather and Sam, thank you. It's 6:50. Up next, what Google is doing to help you lock in the cheapest tickets possible while booking a flight.
Plus, the important health alert this morning, the link between poor sleep and asthma. Welcome back. In this morning's Health Alert, a new study says poor sleep may put you at a greater risk for developing asthma. Researchers say people with a genetic predisposition to asthma, as well as poor sleeping habits, were twice as likely to develop asthma as people in a lower risk group. The 10-year study looked at nearly 500,000 people to come to a conclusion. The CDC recommends adults get at least 7 hours of sleep each night and says 1 in 3 Americans aren't getting enough.
Have you ever booked a flight and then watched the price drop after you already bought your ticket? Yikes. Well, Google is now testing a pilot program that could help you avoid that kind of buyer's remorse. Select domestic flights and a few international flights departing from the U.S. will show up on Google Flights with a price guarantee badge. Google says after you pay, it'll monitor the price every day till departure, and you would get a refund through Google Pay if the price goes down. But the key is you have to have bought it through Google. That's the thing.
6:54, former President Trump set to be arraigned in Manhattan today.
The overnight ruling from the judge. Will cameras be allowed in court? That's next in a live report.